Imagine that you're a fast-growing e-commerce company. Your new signups are through the roof and users are buying products left, right, and center. Your analytics team wants to understand the behavior of users and how products from different companies are performing. Since the data is growing so rapidly, they want to be able to run queries in a modern analytics data warehouse. Now, wouldn't it be nice if you could easily replicate the data that lives in your operational database into your data warehouse with just a few clicks? That's where Datacoral comes in. And in this video, we will show you how to supercharge your analytics team by easily moving data from Postgres to Snowflake in a matter of minutes. Let's say that our data lives in this Postgres database, which contains 3 tables. One for the products that we sell, one for our users, and one for the transactions that our users are making. We can see that we have 100 products in this database, and this is what our products data looks like. We also have 10,000 records in the transactions table, and here's a quick glimpse of that. Now, the records in these tables are continuously changing, and what we need is a copy of this data in our Snowflake data warehouse for analytics. Here's our Snowflake console. We would like our Postgres data to show up in this dcdemo_db database, which you can see is empty right now. Let's jump into the Datacoral application. The Snowflake warehouse you saw earlier has already been connected to Datacoral. Now, we will use Datacoral's Postgres CDC connector to replicate data from the Postgres database into the Snowflake warehouse. I'm going to call the connector Postgres_db. The connector name also becomes the schema name in the warehouse, and tables are created inside this schema. Datacoral supports Snowflake, Redshift, and Athena as destination warehouses. Here, we'll pick Snowflake. When I hit Next, it spins up the resources for this connector. This is where we add connection credentials for our Postgres database. Let me quickly copy over the details. One of the features that Datacoral offers is to add connection credentials for a read replica of your Postgres database, which is then used for historical syncs. This results in historical syncs being much faster with less load on your primary database. Let's quickly add details for a read replica as well and check our connection to the Postgres database. And we see that the connection is successful. Since this is a CDC connector, it will be reading from the database logs continuously, but we can set how frequently we want to load new changes into our Snowflake warehouse. Let's set this frequency to 5 minutes and hit Next to see the list of all tables. As you can see, the connector was able to fetch the 3 tables from the Postgres database. We'll select all of them and hit Finish. At this point, the connector is saving the configurations for all the tables and creating the tables in the Snowflake warehouse. Let's take a quick look at our Snowflake warehouse. As you can now see, there is a schema called Postgres_db in the database, and we can see the 3 tables in there. But the tables are empty because we haven't enabled the connector yet. So let's do that next. Once I click Enable, the connector will start reading changes from the database logs. As this gets started, let's also trigger a historical sync for our tables. Let's wait for the historical syncs to complete. Now that the historical syncs are done, we should be able to check some statistics for these syncs. For the products table, we can see that 100 records were fetched and it took a few seconds to load the data into Snowflake. Similarly, we can see that 10,000 records fetched for the transactions table and the time that it took. Let's confirm this by looking at Snowflake. We're able to see that our products table has 100 records, the transactions table has 10,000 records, and that the data looks correct. Let's now see what happens when data changes at the source. We're going to insert a new row to the products table and a row to the transactions table. We'll also go ahead and update 100 records for the transactions table. In the Datacoral application, you can see statistics for the data that was replicated. If you remember, we inserted 2 records and updated 100 for a total of 102 records changed. Finally, in our Snowflake warehouse, we can see the updated number of records for the products, which is now 101, and the transactions table, which is now 10,001. Our goal was to be able to perform analytics on our data. With this query, we're able to join 2 tables and figure out which companies have how many transactions and their respective cost of goods sold. This wraps up our demo. where you were able to see data from a Postgres database replicated to Snowflake for analytics, simply in a matter of minutes. If you're looking for a change data capture solution to replicate your Postgres and MySQL databases into warehouses such as Snowflake and Redshift, try Datacoral out for a 30-day free trial. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at hello@datacoral.co.